before you left for the US, were you able to quantify, were you able to figure out the kind of impact the proposed visa hike, which is almost doubling the cost of the limit as far as the H-1B visa is concerned, were you able to quantify the impact on Indian IT companies that put forth to the US government?
As far as the visa hike is concerned, that is something which has already happened. We had quantified that earlier and indicated that the impact could be as much as $400 million on an annual basis, and over a 10-year period it could go up to as much as $4 billion.
That is something which the administration was open to taking in these concerns as far as this one particular visa hike issue is concerned?
As you would be aware, the visa hike is not an administrative decision. It was a legislative decision.
It's a proposed decision.
No, it's not a proposed decision. It's already been implemented. And this was a legislative decision by the legislature at the time of the appropriations bill in 2016 November. And that is already, in fact, in force. And in fact, one of our major concerns there has been that it is applicable only to a certain category of companies, which largely impacts only the Indian companies, and therefore it is not conducive to a level playing field.
I'm talking about the recent H-1B Democrat bill which has been introduced as far as a proposal of doubling the visa cost is concerned. I'm talking of the upcoming visa reform bill that is being discussed right now.
I think that is a different issue. That is not a hike in the visa fee. That is a significant hike in the exempt wage level. And there are multiple bills with different threshold numbers being cited. We haven't made any assessment of that, nor do we propose to in the short run, because there are simply so many different views and proposals on that account. I think that it's still very early days. And in any case, businesses are already making substantial changes to their business model because of reasons of changing technology, new implications of changing technology, different business models which are coming in the wake of demands of the client companies, and also their own business strategies. So a lot of changes are going on and were going on with or without the visa changes. And this simply adds one more dimension to the need for planning the strategy by individual companies.
Okay, fair enough. Before we end, Chandra, when you deferred the decision to announce the guidance for FY18, one of the points was also the visibility in US is still not clear. While you've already indicated April, May as a timeline when you want to give the final number, I want to understand if after your meetings, do you feel you have more clarity as far as the visibility on client spending in US is concerned?
I think we had indicated that it will be done in the first quarter, most likely in May, June.
Yeah.
And while obviously we don't have clarity at this point, we are still in the month of March. We are, I think, reasonably assured that by the timeline that we have indicated, somewhat clearer picture would emerge. I'm not saying that everything would be certain and definite, but there would be at least a greater clarity with regard to the uncertainty, if nothing else. And I think businesses are accustomed to functioning with a certain level of uncertainty, but too much of uncertainty is not good for business, whether it is on the visa regime or the regulatory environment or the taxation or the fee environment. So I think that is critical, because right now that level of uncertainty is too high, both from the point of view of businesses as well as from the point of view of making an assessment of what the near-term future holds.
How do you see the US IT spending in that case? Because 2016, the fact is it has slowed down. Many players had cited that elections to an extent were keeping costs in strict control. Did you feel the sense that US clients are still in wait and watch mode to see what decisions the Trump administration will take?
I think that it is very clear that the uncertainty is not just impacting Indian providers, but also US consumers of these services. Because for planning, businesses need a certain degree of certainty. And currently, the environment is not conducive to the companies, the consumer companies, taking long-term decisions on technology, particularly those which are very strategic in nature and which could impact the company's own, long-term strategy and performance.
So you think it's largely the consumer sector that is being cautious on spending?
I'm not talking about the consumer sector. I'm talking about the consuming companies, which is the entire spectrum of companies covering all areas. And I think that they had been holding back earlier, and perhaps even now there is a degree of uncertainty. You have seen the kind of response from all the tech companies in the US when the travel ban was issued, although that was not directly related to business. But even that had significant repercussions for business. But even more, that kind of ban had repercussions for the confidence of companies, for the confidence of employees. The kind of incident which took place in Kansas, for example, is something which shook the industry quite a bit. So all of these, I think, have had some implications for the certainty which is currently prevalent. So at the same time, I think the need to invest in technology is probably higher than ever before. It's going up, not down. And the imperatives for the consumers and for the clients of the companies which provide these services is becoming stronger with the passage of time. So you can't put these decisions off indefinitely also. But I think there is a feeling that the current level of uncertainty may be a little bit higher than what the new normal would entail. So the new normal will have a certain degree of uncertainty, but maybe not as high as it is today.
So by when do you foresee pickup in US IT spending?
I would expect that, by, as we said, the end of the coming quarter, we would have greater, clarity on what would be the ambient level of uncertainty which we have to deal with on an ongoing basis.
But then you didn't answer, by when can we expect a pickup in US spending?
Well, as I said, that answers the question, because the ambient uncertainty is going to be for everybody, and you will have to take decisions based on that.
Is it safe to say that FY18 will be a slower year than FY17?
I won't use the word slower, because on the contrary, as I said, the imperatives for the demand side are higher, not lower. And the decisions cannot be deferred too much. The US economy is doing well, and in fact, there has been a significant uptick also in the market. So that's a positive indicator. So I think there are many factors operating, and one has to wait and see as the picture unfolds.
Okay. Would 7 to 9% be a realistic target? Because that's the sense that everyone has been hinting at, that okay, it may slow down, but it could still be in a flattish range. So would 7 to 9% be a realistic target?
I don't think you're going to get me to make a projection today, which we are saying already that we will make only in May, June because of the uncertainty. So I think that I wouldn't hazard a number at this point.
But you are definitely not saying that it won't be slowing down in FY18.
Well, when we are deferring it, I think the point is that there are all of these uncertainties. We remain optimistic because the demand side is strong, the India value proposition is strong, the options are limited. So from a very macro perspective, everything is looking good. But because of a lot of these uncertainties, projections and predictions and quantifications become difficult. So I would be optimistic, but I would not venture a number, and I would not be definitive at this point because of all the factors that I mentioned.
Okay, fair enough. Cautiously optimistic in that case.
Yes, that's the watchword. I think cautiously optimistic is the phrase, and we continue to monitor the situation.
Okay, Chandra, appreciate you joining in. Thank you so much for talking to us. Thanks.